I'm amped for this last session here. We have Sandeep from Matic Network and he's going to give us a presentation. And what's most exciting about Matic is they recently initiated that mainnet launch sequence. So sure, if you have any questions related to that or what's coming forward in the mainnet, be sure to drop it into the chat, and we'll be sure to have some Q&A at the end of this next presentation.
First of all, thanks Masari team for inviting me here, and I'm going to present about our mainnet, which actually went live 31st of May. So a brief intro about Matic Network. So Matic Network is a layer 2 layer 2 project which is looking to build a massive decentralized scalability to Ethereum blockchain and any other blockchain in general, but we are particularly focused on Ethereum blockchain because we believe that it's going to be the leading platform for smart contract and related applications. So Matic Network is a generalized layer 2 platform which can support multiple layer 2 constructions, and our current mainnet is that went live on 31st is more focused on Plasma hybrid, Plasma and POS blockchains. So we come from the kind of core contributors to the Plasma project, erstwhile Plasma project, and then from there we branched out with our kind of thesis on how the layer 2 construction should look like. One of the biggest benefits of and one of the biggest kind of strengths of Matic is its separated validation and execution layer. So if you wanted to imagine Matic Network, imagine like a layer which is, let's say, Ethereum, and on top of that you have a validation layer which runs on Tendermint and has large number of validators. And then on top of this validation layer, there can be multiple execution layers. So the current mainnet I'm talking about is a hybrid POS and Plasma sidechain. In future, there can be more layer 2 constructions which might consist of optimistic rollups, ZK rollups, or anything else that we deem can be an important thing for the dApp developers. So as I already mentioned, that the current mainnet that went live on 31st, it is hybrid POS plus Plasma sidechains. So I'll talk about some of the important benefits of these sidechains and why everyone hears so much about Matic and so many applications onboarding to Matic. We already within I think it's been 1 year that we went public, and right now we are ahead of most of the heavyweights of the industry that were pretty sort of talked about in the scalability space. We are already one of the, I would easily say that we'd be already one of the top 5 or top 10 smart contracting platforms in terms of the number of applications that are live on our beta mainnet and and our testnets. And then they will be onboarding to our mainnet now that the mainnet has gone live within in a matter of few weeks. And in terms of those applications, there are we'll talk about more into the presentation. So one of the biggest benefits of these hybrid POS plus Plasma sidechains is that they are massively decentralized sidechains. Even if it's on layer 2, when we kind of branched out from the original Plasma development group, so actually, we were the first team which implemented the Plasma MVP, but we, kind of branched out and, realized that the earlier Plasma constructions, even now, whatever the Plasma constructions are there from, let's say, Omisego, anybody, or some of the other, teams, they are not that developer friendly. So Ethereum developers are primarily EVM kind of, they are very well versed with Solidity, all the Web3 tools and all that. So we wanted to create a layer 2 which preserves all those developer friendliness and has supports all the Ethereum tools and everything on the layer 2, and yet provides a decentralized platform for execution. So at the layer 2, like some of the earlier solutions which were trying to do something similar, but they kind of ended up creating centralized solutions with few, like 5 to 10 parties, whereas in Matic you have more than 100 plus validators who are validating on the sidechains now, and this number is expected to grow into thousands in future. As I already mentioned, that these Matic sidechains provide fully functional EVMs. So we like to say that if you are an Ethereum developer, you already know Matic, like 99.99% of it, and it's very easy for the developers to migrate their applications. They don't really need to make a lot of change to utilize the Matic layer 2 on top of Ethereum, and that is bringing us a lot of adoption and related kind of success in the market. The high TPS, like of course on the side chains, on Matic side chains, you could do like huge number of transactions. In some of our restricted testnets, we have even seen one single side chain, which are public side chains, and any number of applications can deploy on them. These are not dApp specific chains. But one public chain in our restricted environments we have even seen up to 17,000 TPS. But we are expecting on the fully decentralized mainnet somewhere around 3,000 to 4,000 transactions per second, which is like maybe more than I think 200 times what Ethereum provides currently. So and this is with one side chains. As and when the network grows, network is expected to add more and more side chains. The low gas fees, even though you are on the EVM, you get all the Ethereum kind of security, because the layer 2 is the Plasma layer 2. They checkpoint the layer 2 execution, whatever is happening on the layer 2, to the Ethereum main chain. And you have almost a similar security of Ethereum due to Plasma, especially for assets. Even then, like, you have high amount of security, high amount of decentralization, but yet you are able to achieve a very low gas transactions. And we expect to have on a conservative scale, we expect to have around 1/100th of the gas fees, which will be kind of a big relief for dApp developers. And also, one of the important thing is that the throughput or the kind of turnaround time or the confirmation times are very, very fast. So on Matic kind of side chains, you can expect to have a apparent like finality within like 1.5 seconds, and then you get a hard finality on Ethereum every 10 minutes. So for an application, for a dApp, the finality is almost instant, and which increases the user experience to very high levels. So a brief glimpse into the block explorer. So you can already see that the average block time is roughly around 2 seconds, and the blockchain is the side chain is actually performing very well, although there have been very few transactions till now, because the network went live yesterday itself, and the applications are starting to deploy slowly onto it. So within few days, you would start seeing a large amount of transactions. We expect to see a large amount of transactions on the network. So that was the block explorer part. So and also, like if the net down, now that the mainnet has gone live and it's a proof of stake network, so the staking and delegation kind of activities also are going to start. The network has already released the mainnet in the phase 1 and phase 2 phase 1 modes. So as phase 2 approaches, more public validators will be onboarded onto the system, and then the staking and delegation activities will be started for them, right? And then one thing that I already spoke about, the real stuff, that is adoption. So a lot of people talk about, like, okay, this network has this particular scalability and that particular scalability, but a question we ask ourselves is, how many third parties are adopting this particular scalability solution. So when I say third party, I emphasize that third party piece of it. Why? Because it's very easy for an for a platform which raised a multiple $1 million to start building out a few applications. The criteria success of Matic being a co-founder here is that how many third-party developers are adopting Matic, and that is where we are seeing absolutely massive amount of kind of success for Matic, and that makes us very hopeful. So a brief glimpse into who all are already building on Matic, like you could see some of the big names over there: Decentraland, top 100 project, on VR space specifically, like Somnium Space, again one of the top VR platform. Sandbox, frequently number one on OpenSea and all that in terms of NFTs traded. So they all have publicly declared that they will be using Matic network for scalability. The games like Light Trail Rush, Battle Racers, all of these have been like previously pretty big games. Spells of Genesis, one of the older games in the kind of NFT space. So large number of big games are actually adopting Matic network. Blockade Games is also one who have added Matic as a platform to their gaming kind of gaming framework. So huge amount of this thing over there. Also in terms of the developer tooling, as I said, that the developing on Matic is like a cakewalk for any Ethereum developer. So it supports meta transactions, supports all the Ethereum tooling, Remix, Ganesh, Truffle wallets. Almost all the top wallets have already started supporting Matic network, which includes Fortmatic, Potis, MetaMask, and Taurus. Oracles, almost all the top oracles like Chainlink, Band Protocol, Razor Network, Provable, all of these have already mentioned that they will be providing. Provable is already starting to being used by some applications. And developer tooling also, like and this is like all big developer tooling like Tenderly and Block Vigil and all that. All those analytics tools are also being slowly being integrated into Matic ecosystem. So all in all, it will provide developers very fast decentralized version of Ethereum on top of Ethereum, which is very secure, decentralized, but still they don't need to learn anything new about this, and they don't need to do much if they wanted to migrate their applications to use the layer 2. And what's upcoming? So, as I already explained, that Matic separates the layer 2, separates the validation, the block validation, and the activities on the consensus side of things from the execution. That that provides us extreme benefits in terms of being able to add a lot of layer 2 kind of capabilities on the Matic network. So we are looking to add a lot of kind of layer 2 flavors on the Matic sidechain, so that the developers have one-stop solution if they wanted to use any particular kind of layer 2 which suits their business. If they want more security, they can have something like optimistic rollup. If they want a simple, like they're building a simple dApp or game, they can have a simple public sidechain that they are using. Or in the upcoming days, we are going to do enterprises, so enterprises can use some sort of privacy kind of side chains. Those are all things that are going to come up soon. And also we are going to we are already pretty big in the massive Matic developer community. We already are, like, we are undoubtedly the number one team in terms of who does the hackathons yearly. We participate in around 50 to 60 hackathons, and some of them are like, especially in India, we organize around 30 to 40 hackathons in all the top technology schools over there. Plus, we are very close partners with ETH Global and DevFolio, where we do month-long hackathons where we are supporting developers and helping them build not only simple hacks, but also applications which they can grow eventually into businesses. So apart from these pretty big developer campaigns are going to be launched in a very short amount of time now, and all the developers should look out for those very attractive plans that we are going to launch for the developer support. Also more top games and dapps. So under the hood, a lot of big applications and games in the in the space which have not been declared. They are also looking to launch with Matic, and more and more will be more and more of them would be announced very soon. Enterprises. So recently we announced like the $40 billion iconic software giant Infosys, listed on New York Exchange Stock Exchange. They also joined Matic as an early validator, and they we expect to do a lot of enterprise activity with them. And similarly, we have a lot of other enterprises. Some of them, probably one of the biggest public kind of institutions in India, enterprises in India. We are already working with them on multiple fronts, on POCs, on ideations, and all that, and a lot of exciting stuff to come on that front also. So yeah, that's all from my side in terms of the presentation. Happy for the questionnaires.
Excellent. You hear me, Sandeep? That was.
Yep.
Thank you for the presentation. Great visuals. That was excellent. So we have a handful of questions here, and thought I'd just dive right in, see if we get through them all. So first off, Jim wants to know how are you running Plasma and Sidechain, and more specifically, where does the security of the network depend on, or where does it?
Sure. So basically, as I said, that the the Plasma on the sidechain side. So generally the Plasma is thought of as single operator, or few operator Plasma, and that actually creates a lot of problems around the data availability. Like around the mass exits, if the validator or if the kind of operator faults or something. So and also, originally all the Plasma construction, like if you see Omise Go's construction also, these are all UTXO based. So at best you can do transfers on the layer 2 platform. So what we do is that on the side chain, we have built up, a very solid proof of stake layer. And this proof of stake layer entirely acts as a Plasma operator, right? So this validation layer, which actually validator layer, which has, let's say, 100 plus validators, these, out of them, every, let's say, 2 hours, every 6,400 blocks, committees are formed, which actually create a group of, let's say, 7 to 11 validators or the operators. They operate, and these are randomly selected. Then more other validators come in, they are shuffled. So that way, a large amount of data availability and kind of mass exit problems are solved with that. And then as I said, that we come from the original, like the core Plasma implementers group, and we implemented the Plasma first ever Plasma MVP implementation. This version is Plasma more VP. So that supports all the Plasma kind of features, like where you have a checkpoint going every 10 minutes into the main chain, and if you want to withdraw assets which are backed by Plasma, you can withdraw by going to the main chain and providing the proof of burn for you, and you have to wait for the withdrawal period, which is of the 7 days. So all the Plasma core concepts and core kind of features are preserved within the network, and while ensuring that there's a side chain, and which also has an EVM. So assets have a kind of way where they resemble asset transfers. They resemble almost like UTXOs. And it would be like, if the person who asked the question is interested, he can reach out to us on the technical side, how we mimic kind of UTXOs for the asset transfers. But apart from that, it supports the EVM. So you could do generic transactions also over there. But for if you want the generic or arbitrary smart contract transactions to be Plasma verified, then you have to write predicates for that, like which are essentially specialized fraud proofs. Hope that makes sense.
I know that. Yeah, that was a great breakdown. Yeah, Jim also had another technical question. Like to know more about the stack. So if someone wants to drop a link to like the developer docs in there, that'd be great. But the next question, probably one of my favorite ones of the night, and not just because it's coming from Ryan, but he writes, beyond Matic, what is the one thing that you'd like Western communities to know about the Indian crypto ecosystem? Largest democracy in the world, lots of devs. Seems like we should expect a lot more out of the region, but what are the opportunities and challenges?
Yeah. So, recently, due to India is also a very open democracy, also built on the Western values. So, we have multiple legs of the democracy where our federal bank actually, kind of try to stop, the crypto trading growing beyond a particular stage, because there was actually a lot of scams coming up, because, it's a big country, and, you can fool some uninformed people. So government actually tried to protect the people, but then government had to provide a lot of research and why they actually feel so, and government was not able to defend fully in the courts. So courts actually abandoned, kind of
Hmm.
discarded the reason by the Fed Bank, and they said that, no, either you come back to us with a very strong framework that why you think cryptocurrencies are bad, right, and which actually a logical argument cannot be made fully. So otherwise you can't stop the citizens from exercising their own rights, because it's their money, whatever they want to, like if they want to invest. So that's the trading part. And due to that, previously when the federal bank stopped it, Indian cryptocurrency market was already booming. It already had become like top 5 or top 6 in terms of the volumes. Now all that, once the RBI ban has been lifted, like the federal bank has been lifted, so that all that is coming back, which also, because of that ban and everything, that also created some sort of a dogma in the minds of kind of developers, that okay, is it
Hmm.
something into the gray area that I'm doing. So now that is also has been lifted. But even then, even when there was a dogma, that that the number of the developers in India is actually bigger than the software developers in India is bigger than the population of entire countries, right? So
Hmm.
we might be having more than 5 6 million 7 million software developers. So even then, even when all of these curves were there, Indian developer community was growing very fast, and we already would be just behind United States of America, in terms of the number of developers. We would be in the second place. I think I've read a few research reports which say that. So a huge amount of things can be expected over there. And this is the first time crypto provides the developers a global opportunity to take their products global. So you're already seeing that in the DeFi space. One of the top dApps are actually from India. Like for example, InstaDApp is Indian
It's the
team,
dap.
right? And Nuo network is also like backed by Polychain and all that. They are
Hmm.
also Indian. And recently Coin DCX, which is kind of a prime broker, they raised from they raised from Coinbase Ventures and Bain Capital and all that. And Frontier Wallet is also upcoming, kind of a wallet interface integrated with multiple wallets. So a lot of these teams are, and these teams actually, the good thing is these things are actually coming from the hackathons that I was just mentioning.
Yeah.
InstaDApp was actually, we also gave them the first grant when back then in 2018, when they were just few kids hacking things, right? So yeah,
I didn't know
so
that. That's really cool.
yeah, yeah, they came out, they broke out from ETH India basically back in August 2018.
Hmm.
So a lot of things like that. So now more and more of these developers are coming in with dApp solutions and all that. And one key thing I like from Indian developers, which Ryan also asked, that what to expect from them. All these developers are they are like business oriented. So they are not building a dApp which can provide which has some idealism and all that. So they will actually look for business, creating business opportunities out of it. And that's where I see some of these dApps actually trying to build business around these dApps. And maybe some breakout dApp models could be found over there. So yeah, that'd be my
That no, I very enlightening. That was great. I really appreciate it. Some great questions there. I got, you know what? Let's get this last one in here. We have one more question, might as well. What is the biggest finding in your adversarial stage of the staking testnet?
So yeah, that's a great question from America. My co-founder Anurag is leading that stage, and till now we've been running the adversarial stage for like 1 month, and we have not found a very big kind of any kind of significant attack vector which has actually hampered the network till now. But it's the stage is still ongoing, and right now I'm not in the best position to comment on the best kind of the best learnings out of it, because it's still some form is ongoing and I'm not
Yeah,
directly engaged with it. Yeah. But I would love,
but
to reach out to our Telegram @Matic Network or Twitter, and then
Mhm.
I would definitely ask my co-founder Anurag to answer to that question.
And just me, yeah, personally, I know a lot of the updates get dropped into the forum as well. Not a bad place to go check out if you want to see what the latest is going on there. So anyway, that's all the time we have. Thank you for closing out this day one, Sandeep. That was awesome. Really appreciate it, and hope to talk to you soon.
Thanks, Wilson. Thanks, Ryan and Masari team for having us here. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much, and thanks to all the audience. Thank you. Bye bye. Have a good day.
Bye.